From Minnesota's leading news station, Cindy Brucato, Stan Turner, Dennis Feltgen, and Bob Bruce. This is the Eyewitness News Update.
Good evening, everyone. There was a lot of talk by and about the Americans being held in Beirut.
Well, for one thing, Cindy, behind closed doors, negotiations that some say may lead to a resolution of the situation soon. In front of the camera, frustration, perseverance, and sympathy from 3 of the 39 Americans being held by the Shiite Amal. Hostages Alan Conwell, Ralph Traugott, and Reverend James McLaughlin were interviewed by ABC News at a restaurant somewhere in Beirut. They talked of the initial terror when their plane was hijacked, but they say their situation has changed because the men holding them now are not the ones who commandeered TWA Flight 847.
I don't feel any pressure, you know. I'm not here of my own free will, but it's not as difficult as I thought it would be. It's not as hard as people imagine it, I'm sure, back in America.
Many in our group have a profound sympathy for the cause or for the reasons that the Amal have in saying, Israel, free my people.
The hostages said they were all eager to see their families again, and Conwell saying Israel would be doing the right thing to release the Shiite prisoners being held illegally, he says, in an Israeli prison. Other developments in this crisis, Shiite negotiator Nabi Berri tried but failed to negotiate a transfer of the hostages to the French embassy. Berri now trying to negotiate with the Swiss and the Syrians. In Israel, former U.S. ambassador to the UN, Jean Kirkpatrick, met with Israeli leaders. Israeli television reports that Israel reached an agreement with the U.S. not to free the Lebanese prisoners until the Americans have been freed. And from the White House, no comment at all on any of today's developments, just a commitment to stand firm on the U.S. resolve not to negotiate. Well then, here at home, farm protesters are standing their ground at the Capitol tonight, Cindy.
Well, actually, they're standing on the governor's ground. Members of Groundswell are sitting in at the Capitol again tonight. This is the 4th night they've stayed in the governor's reception room, and the leader of the protest says he's now fasting. They're protesting a watered-down moratorium bill passed during the special session. Governor Perpich has delayed signing the measure, but he says he still plans for it to become law. Hundreds, maybe even thousands of Minnesota farmers are going to file claims now against the federal government. They're trying to recoup losses suffered during the 1979 grain embargo in the Soviet Union. When President Carter refused to allow U.S. grain into the Soviet Union, there was a surplus. Prices plummeted. The farmers went broke. Well, as Catherine Smith reports, this new campaign of activism is spreading like wildfire.
I think at this point, everybody's just reaching for anything. It's so bad.
Steve and Rhonda Strazel used to farm 500 acres. They used to have a profitable grain operation. They used to own their home. Now the bank owns some of their land. Their money goes to pay off debts. Steve is one of 400 Redwood County farmers who intends to file a claim for losses against the U.S. government. The claim states that since federal policy paid off grain exporters for their losses, farmers should get something too.
I don't understand how large corporations that are handling crops and moving them out of the country can recoup losses when those who are supplying the grain to them in the first place can't recoup the loss.
The rumor of possible federal payoffs has spread all through the Minnesota farming community. Since Monday, agriculture offices have been swamped, but the likelihood of any payoff seems slight.
For many farmers, filing this claim doesn't mean money in the bank. It does mean a way for them to tell the government just how much they were hurt by the 1980 grain embargo, and it all comes at a time when many farmers are so desperate, they'll try just about anything.
We have nothing to lose trying. If we don't try, we know we won't get anything.
The damage done was very real. Mm-hmm. And I think we have a story to tell Washington, D.C., and maybe this is going to make them listen.
According to these farmers, whether they get money or not isn't the point. For them, filing the claims is just another way of keeping their fight alive. Catherine Smith, Channel 5 Eyewitness News, Redwood Falls.
Well, Minnesota's best-known farm foreclosure case is history tonight. Jim Langman of Starbuck, Minnesota, watched as his 460-acre farm was foreclosed upon and bought today by the Travelers Insurance Company. The foreclosure ends a long and often bitter dispute. On 3 prior occasions, Travelers tried to foreclose only to have Groundswell and the Reverend Jesse Jackson show up to stop the actions. In a deal agreed to by both sides now, Langman keeps his home, the farm buildings, and 20 acres. The remaining 440 acres belong to Travelers. This to satisfy a $417,000 debt that the Langman family failed to pay. Well, raising money for the March of Dimes, that's the source of some trouble tonight in Minneapolis, Cindy.
This weekend, the March of Dimes has scheduled a fundraiser. The event is co-sponsored by Coors Beer, and it's that connection that has upset a Hennepin County commissioner, as Carolyn Bruchter reports.
These are scenes of a beach party held in Dallas, Texas. The bash was co-sponsored by the Adolph Coors Company. And although it looks as though the party is at a beach, it wasn't. It was outside the Dallas City Hall. Coors Beer was sold, of course, and in the end, the party netted a charity over $30,000. On Saturday, this block of 5th Street between 3rd and 4th Avenue will also become a huge beach party. But unlike the others sponsored by the Coors Company, this one will be very different. There will be no sale of alcoholic beverages.
When you get tens of thousands of young people, an event designed for young people, in an outside area, serving alcohol, I think you're just could be inviting many serious problems.
Today, though, with the fundraiser less than 48 hours away, March of Dimes local officials changed the setup for the party.
We will be attracting a large number of people, and we feel that a lot of these, it may be a lot of young people attending, and we just felt that it may be in everyone's best interest not to serve beer.
Coors officials say the party could have worked as originally planned.
We had like 32 part-time policemen, and there we had the whole area cordoned off. We only had 2 entrances. Everybody was checked with their ID when they came in.
The beach party will go on, though. No beer sales will mean less money for the March of Dimes, but everyone seems to agree it will make for a safer event. Carolyn Bruchter, Channel 5 Eyewitness News.
Next on the update, a surprise today in Ramsey County Court. Before the jury was picked, a man admitted to killing a 2-year-old girl.
And what's the real story behind a controversial treatment called chelation? The future of one doctor and treatment of thousands might depend upon that. We'll explain in just a moment. Just as jury selection was about to begin today in the murder trial of Richard Murphy Wall, the 51-year-old Minneapolis man pleaded guilty to the shooting death of 2-year-old Sarah Mae Colbjornson. Wall took the witness stand this morning and confessed he fatally wounded the 2-year-old Minneapolis girl and critically wounded her mother, 30-year-old Mary Jane Colbjornson. Both mother and daughter were shot inside his car March 31st after Colbjornson told Wall she was ending their relationship. Wall pleaded guilty to first-degree murder, and that came as a surprise to Ramsey County Attorney Tom Foley, who was preparing to begin the trial.
I think that we were ready to go to trial. I'm very confident we would have presented our case and resulted in a conviction. But like I say, it was a first-degree murder plea. We would not go below first-degree murder, and that's what we got, and it's life in prison, and I'm very happy with that.
Wall will begin serving his life sentence at Stillwater Prison, and he will not be eligible for release for at least 17 years. A 16-year-old girl is being held tonight for allegedly stabbing 2 teenagers today. A 13-year-old girl was treated at St. Paul Ramsey Medical Center. She was released tonight. A 14-year-old boy is hospitalized in fair condition. Now then, Twin Cities medical experts are about to focus on, well, really it's a very controversial treatment.
This weekend, the State Board of Medical Examiners will conduct hearings on a controversial treatment said to clean out your arteries and prevent heart disease and strokes. Well, at stake could be one doctor's license and a treatment that's been used by thousands of Minnesotans. Medical specialist Dr. Michael Breen can explain.
That treatment is called chelation. Supporters say it's a safe alternative to bypass surgery and other blood vessel operations. Donald Baumgartner has poor circulation to his legs.
My circulation has improved tremendously. I could only walk about a half a block before. Now I can walk 3 or 4 blocks.
Chelation is nothing more than the gradual injection of this prescription drug. The drug is called EDTA, and even supporters aren't sure of how it works. One theory is that the drug literally sucks out the trace minerals that are found in cholesterol plaques. Another theory is that the drug dilates the blood vessels by softening the arteries. To try to achieve those results, the patients here will get 30 treatments at a cost of $2,500. But that cost is paid by patients themselves because almost all doctors and insurance companies say the treatment is at best unproven and at worst a hoax.
So we have no basic experimental evidence supporting the concept and certainly no clinical testing done to show that it's effective.
Cohn says chelation can cause kidney damage and can also delay more effective proven treatment. For those reasons, the medical board has been considering whether to take action against the physician who runs this clinic.
I've been under some kind of investigation ever since I started chelation, which was in 1982.
So you want to clear the air?
Definitely.
After this weekend's hearings, the medical board will either allow the treatment or end its use in Minnesota. Dr. Michael Breen, Channel 5, Eyewitness News.
Now, a follow-up update, really, on a story that developed over the weekend. Investigators are hearing faint signals from the seabed tonight. They say it could be noise from the flight recorders of the Air India jet that crashed on Sunday. Today, a British nuclear-powered submarine briefly joined the search for the black boxes. U.S. submarines may soon be joining that effort. The boxes could determine if an explosion caused that crash. At Walt Disney World, authorities still trying to figure out how a fire got started last night on the monorail. 200 people riding the train had to evacuate. None of them was injured. And the Senate Judiciary Committee today voted down the nomination of William Reynolds as Associate Attorney General. The vote may have killed Reynolds' chances of getting the job, the Justice Department's third-ranking post. Well, then, next up here on the update, Dennis Feltgen challenges whether the calendar is right. Is it right? By saying we're indeed in summer.
Yeah, we're going to check with him on that. And a little bit later, Jason Davis introduces us to one man who knows how to put his time to pretty good use. Stay tuned.
Just one beautiful evening, a nice April evening out there tonight.
Yeah, not bad for the end of June, wasn't it? Listen, there are some signs of improvement. Some sun is a good start, of course, and even the thunderstorms are breaking up. Hey, speaking of that, everyone knows that you get lightning from a thunderstorm, right? Well, we usually see it as a bolt. Well, usually, anyway. But you know, lightning can come as a ball. Sure, it can do that. In fact, it's not very well understood as we go to our next effect here, but it's very rare. It's a ball of fire anywhere from 2 inches to 6 feet across and looks like a bubble of electricity. Now, some observers of ball lightning have seen it come out of the clouds at several hundred feet a second and explode. Or it can hit the ground and roll downhill until it strikes something like a tree, then explodes. It's been known to come in houses and float across a room with a hissing sound. And there's even one case of ball lightning rolling down a hill towards a person who just stepped aside and let it pass. Smart move. Channel 5's lightning scan tonight, for the first time in 4 days, has no significant cloud-to-ground lightning strikes. There's a sure sign of improving weather. And here's another one. KSTP's color radar is on the long range, and the only significant rain we can find is well to our east, deep into Wisconsin, with a little line of showers, which seems to be fading away as we get into the coolness of the evening. Now watch the satellite loop. We did indeed have some breaks in the clouds late this afternoon. You never would have known it this morning, but as the afternoon wore on, here came the breaks in the clouds from the southwest. One terrific evening, as Stan mentioned, but look at these clouds back through here. Yep, you guessed it. They show definite signs of rotating right into Minnesota and the Twin Cities, and there could be even a passing shower from it. In fact, the National Weather Service radar out of Bismarck, North Dakota, has some showers between Bismarck and Dickinson, and it's not impossible they could just travel right along with the cloud deck and come in here into the metropolitan area during the day tomorrow. But it is not going to be an all-day rain affair as it has been for the past couple of days. The weather map for tonight shows a little change. Not much, but a little. The cool, dry air is now pushing on a little bit deeper into Wisconsin. Not a whole lot, but enough where the clouds are beginning to erode a little bit out of the southwest as the dry air begins taking hold. Not only is it dry, but it's definitely cool. The high temperature map for today still shows the entire western half of the country running anywhere from 10 to 20, in some cases 25 degrees below normal. Of course, with the exception of the desert southwest, where it was over 110 degrees. In the almanac, our official high today out at the airport was only 69 after a morning low of an average 61 and a little bit of rain out at the airport. Today's air quality index was in the good range at 30. The pollen count was low. It was tree pollen today. 41% of it was basswood. Right now in the metropolitan area, it's mostly clear. 64 degrees is the temperature with a dew point, a comfortable 54, humidity 70%. The winds are out of the west at 9, and the air pressure is rising. Now, the weather map for tomorrow assumes that this area of low pressure hangs around in the neighborhood. If it does that, then we're going to continue with the cloud shield and passing showers from time to time, and the temperature in the metropolitan area is somewhere around 70. If this picks up some speed, we could see a significant break in the clouds by tomorrow afternoon, and maybe, just maybe, it'll hang on for the weekend. Time will tell. KSTP's forecast for tonight in detail calls for skies to become mostly cloudy again, with lows of 55 to 60 and a northwest wind. And for tomorrow into tomorrow night, mostly cloudy with a passing shower possible, but there could be some significant breaks in the clouds from time to time. Highs tomorrow 67 to 71, lows tomorrow night 53 to 58. And for Saturday, hopefully skies becoming partly sunny by afternoon for good. Highs of 72 to 77. Out on a limb with partly cloudy skies Sunday through Tuesday, maybe a shower on Sunday. Highs back into the 80s again, lows in the 50s and the 60s. Tanning meter for tomorrow assumes a lot of clouds, so we'll say a 1 up to a 4 on Saturday.
And keep that ball lightning onto the forecast.
Wouldn't that be a ball of fun?
Okay, oh, forget it. Still ahead here. This is fun, maybe. The KSTP Sports Reel looks at horse racing. That ought to be weird. Larry Burnett has that, plus the feature event at Canteberry Downs, next on Eyewitness Sports.
A good day out at the races. You were out there a little bit earlier.
Another good day, and the weather has been cooperating for them out there. 2 nice days in a row. They were off and running again today at Canterbury Downs. The sun came out just in time for today's first race, and the ponies were running on a fast track before the day was over. A good crowd, too, almost 12,000 for day 2 at Canterbury. The 7th race was the feature race, and that turned into a 1-horse race. It was 6.5 furlongs for 3-year-olds, and the number 1 horse, Tell Buddy, led from wire to wire to win by 3 lengths over Come On South. Leroy Moyers was in the irons as Tell Buddy paid $460, $280, and $280. Now, the Minnesota Twins are a team trying to get on a winning track, so today many of the players used their day off to go to Canterbury Downs. That's Tom Brunansky and Mike Smithson there, along with Kurt Wardle. There were about a dozen Twins at the track today. We don't know if they picked any winners, but we do know they picked the White Sox to be losers tomorrow night. That's when the Twins open a 3-game road trip in Chicago. Now, off the field, the Twins front office got some work done today. This afternoon, the Twins signed their number 1 draft choice, Jeff Bumgarner. He's a pitcher out of Hanford High School in Richland, Washington. The 6'6" right-hander posted some big numbers this past season, including 11 wins without a loss, 132 strikeouts in 74 innings pitched. And check out his earned run average. That's .025, which must come out to about a run a year. Terms of his contract were not released, but you can bet it's in excess of $100,000. And a team spokesman did say that Bumgarner is now the highest-paid draftee in the history of the Twins franchise. Jeff will report to the Twins Rookie League Club in Tennessee on Saturday. And it's official now. Second baseman Alan Wiggins is on his way from San Diego to Baltimore. Last season, Wiggins stole 70 bases for the Padres, but he recently underwent drug treatment for the 2nd time in 3 years. Team president Ballard Smith told him he was off the team for good. Wiggins goes to the Orioles in exchange for pitcher Roy Lee Jackson and a player to be named later. One game in the American League complete tonight. It was Toronto over the Brewers. The final there 7-3. Now in the National League, the Cubs' 13-game losing streak has now been followed by a pair of wins over the Mets. Just like the Twins, the Cubbies have a Hatcher. This is Billy Hatcher, and this is Billy's first Major League home run. It put the Cubs ahead to stay in the 5th. Rick Sutcliffe went the distance, and the Cubs won it today 4-2. In other games in the National League, Cincinnati beat the Giants. It was St. Louis by 1 over Philadelphia. San Diego beat the Dodgers. Montreal 4-2 over Pittsburgh tonight. And in the 9th, Atlanta is leading Houston 4-1. No big surprises today at Wimbledon. It rained, so what else is new? But most of the matches were completed today. At center court, Chris Everett Lloyd had an easy time of it against Mary Lou Piatek. Chrissy has been bothered by a slight neck injury, but you couldn't tell it today. She dominated this match and won it easily 6-1, 6-love. A big win for Chrissy at Wimbledon once again today. Finally, in sports, we could not go any further because of the big opening day of Canterbury Downs. Had to talk about it tonight. Get ready because we're going to cue up the trumpet, get right out of the gate with a special horse racing edition of the KSTP Sports Reel. Now, boy, the officials at Canterbury Downs are strict. I mean strict about who they hire as jockeys. These guys, for example, right here, didn't get in because they were a tad overweight. You've heard of swaybacks? These are sway fronts. Now, this guy was plenty light, but they didn't take him because they said he was a little chicken down the stretch. And these fellas even had their own horses, but they didn't get hired because they didn't wear the proper silks. You tell them they didn't get the job. I'm not. This lady, she just couldn't ride, let's face it. Oh, they're strict at Canterbury. And a word on betting now. If you think you have a sure thing in a race, take a bit of advice, just a bit, from an expert.
I wouldn't bet the ranch on it. That's right, buddy boy.
Now guess what? Bobby Knight has landed a summer job at Canterbury. He's in charge of seating. Now it's $2.50 to get in, and for an extra buck, you got it, Bobby will throw in a chair. He's good at it too. Now that's it for our horse racing edition of Sports Reel. Do you like it, huh?
I'm just so incredibly overwhelmed.
And we've heard that from thousands of people throughout the days and weeks. Simply overwhelmed.
The card and letter is pouring in.
Card and letter, yeah. It's a mandate from the person, yes.
Thank you, Larry. I think.
You think?
Want to top that one?
Yeah, let's try, shall we? It's the least we could do. From the ridiculous Larry to the sublime, I guess. We're about to meet a man who's got nothing but time on his hands by his own design. Jason Davis met him, where else? On the road again.
"27 years ago, Laurel Peterson of Cokato, Minnesota, planted a black walnut tree in his backyard. 3 years ago, he cut it down. Laurel, a retired carpenter, turned that tree into this grandfather clock, which begat another grandfather clock, which begat another grandfather clock. And they continue to appear in his workshop, overflowing into his garage. 24 so far, and he's thinking about making more.
I had planned this before my retirement, or even before I built my shop, that I would like to make a grandfather clock someday.
Wow.
Yeah, I guess one.
So many people admired Laurel's handiwork that he was encouraged to repeat his feat. Last winter, he built 14 clocks.
156 pieces in each clock, see? So I just cut out 14 of each, or whatever it took to make those 14 clocks.
He cuts the trees down himself: oak, red elm, butternut, cherry, and walnut. Most of them will become family heirlooms.
I got 10 grandchildren. 10 of them are getting them, and 4 of them will be sold.
And what does this 70-year-old retired carpenter get out of being a one-man grandfather clock production line?
I get the fun out of it, of giving them, too. You know, I've built these for all these different ones, and they really enjoy it. And I put my little plaque on there. You know, I've got a little piece that goes on that's crafted by, and this and that. And they're real grateful that they get them.
Jason Davis on the road again, Cokato, Minnesota.
Oh.
Can we tell the carpenter from Cokato that Stan Turner wants a grandfather clock?
Please, please.
You can mail it in different pieces. We'll assemble it here.
I'll put it in my car, right up on the dash. Beautiful.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.